Hi, welcome to the Wisdom Inspired Talk podcast. Thank you for joining me today. I am Yomi Akipelu, your wisdom coach, speaker, teacher, and author of Blow the Cap Off Your Capability and other books. In this podcast, we will learn from the wisdom of wise men and women from ancient and contemporary times. We will glean wisdom from books, biographies, teachings, quotes, and sayings of sages through the ages. So, let's dive right in. Today, we'll be speaking about habits. But let's start with a real life story of a life transformed by developing good habits. In 2002, Terry was in a terrible place. No goals, no vision, no money, and on the verge of marital breakdown. She decided that she would do 5 things daily. 12 years later, she is an author of many books. She's got international speaking engagements. Her marriage has been restored. She's got money in the bank. She's got a lovely home and much more. According to Terry Savelle Foy, your repetition is your reputation. The secret of your future is hidden in your daily routine. So, she says, conquer the covers, win the battle of the bed, and practice the habit of mind over mattress. Furthermore, she says, if you can change your routine, you can change your whole life. Terry shares what she calls the rule of 5. It simply refers to choosing to do 5 things daily. These 5 habits will cause you to go from ordinary to extraordinary. Now, all you have to do is find the 5 things necessary to achieve your own specific life goals, and then go do them every day. You have to figure out what your 5 things are. For example, it could be to pray, to read, to listen to something inspiring, to meditate, or to think. Now, some of these are my 5 daily habits. Your 5 daily habits would differ from mine. Doing these 5 habits daily is like swinging an axe 5 times a day to cut down a tree. Eventually, the tree will come down, depending on how big your tree is. Now, all you have to do once you've figured out your 5 daily habits is find your tree. That is, find your purpose. Jim Rohn said, motivation is what gets you started, but habit is what keeps you going. Have you ever thought that in order to change your life, you need to make big, drastic changes? Well, apparently not. According to the world-renowned habit expert James Clear, the real changes in life come from the compound effect of a few small changes. They can be as small as waking up 5 minutes earlier. Yes, that's simple. Or already having your clothes ready the night before. Or even reading a book 10 minutes before you go to bed. Simple habits such as this have great compound effect. So be careful not to neglect doing the small things in your life that make the big things happen. Aristotle said, good habits formed at youth make all the difference. Now, some people say it takes 21 days or 30 days to develop a habit. Personally, I have not developed any habit in such a short period. So naturally, I was delighted when I read that researchers at the University College London suggested that it takes an average of 66 days for a new habit to become ingrained. Yeah, I felt that's more like it for me. Now, the full range was 18 to 254 days, but 66 days represented the ideal, the average. Now, habits can be good or bad. Therefore, over time, we can be developing habits that will enhance our lives or set us back. Now, the really great thing or great value of a habit is that once you've developed it, it becomes automatic. Practice the good habit long enough and you don't have to think about it anymore. You just do it. Change starts first in the mind. The way you think determines the way you act, and thinking determines feelings. Then feelings will determine the actions, and the actions will determine the habits, and eventually the habits determine the destiny. Warren Buffett said, "Chains of habits are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken." The foundation for achievement is regularly working on something until it regularly works for you. When you discipline yourself, you're essentially training yourself to act in a specific way. Stay with it long enough and it becomes a habit. So success is about doing the right thing, not about doing everything right. The payoff from developing the right habits are quite remarkable and extraordinary. It simplifies your life. Your life becomes clearer and less complicated. You don't have to monitor everything. You just have to do the right things. Developing these good habits is hard at the beginning, but only at the beginning. Over time, the habit becomes easier and easier to sustain because it's automatic, and so it requires less effort and energy than in the beginning. The hard stuff becomes a habit, and the habit makes the hard stuff easy. Someone said, habits change into character. Habits form character. Habits are the daily battleground of character. Habits start as fine weak cobwebs and end up as thick as cables. Because we don't see the results fast enough, you think those small good or bad habits don't matter much. Somebody said it can take up to 300 repetitions of a good habit to replace a bad habit. Wow! It takes discipline to change a habit because habits are formed a little bit each day by day and every day. And once habits are formed, they are like giant cables, almost unbreakable. Yeah, the old adage, old habits die hard, comes to mind. Someone said, first we form our habits, then they form us. Conquer your bad habits or they will eventually conquer you. So ultimately, people don't decide their future. They decide their habits. It's their habits that decide their future. From the time you get up in the morning to the time you go to sleep at night, your habits largely control you. The words you say, the things you do, and the ways you act and respond are dependent on habit. So what separates successful people from unsuccessful people can be summed up in one word: habits. Aristotle said 95% of everything you do is as a result of habits. 80% of those who win the lottery file for bankruptcy within 5 years because of habits. Psychologists say that 90% of what we do is as a result of habit. That is basically action on autopilot. That's what habits are. Action on autopilot. Or should I say action on steroids. Bad habits are easy to form but hard to live with. On the other hand, good habits are hard to form but easy to live with. Brian McGill said, "The secret to permanently breaking any bad habit is to love something greater than that habit." So how do we break bad habits? Now, because bad habits happen instinctively and subconsciously, they can only be broken by long-term disciplined activity. We must unweave every strand of the cable of habit slowly and methodically until that giant cable that once held us bound becomes scattered strands of wire. Consistent application of a new, more desirable discipline will help us overcome a bad habit. A wise man once said, "What we do on some great occasion will depend on what you are, and what we are is the result of previous years of self-discipline and habits." In other words, a person's secret to success is found in their daily agenda, their daily habits. A dream becomes a reality as a result of your actions, and your actions are controlled to a large extent by your habits. Craig Groeschel said, "Small disciplines done consistently lead to big results over time." So making and breaking bad habits consists of tons of daily attainable steps that result in huge change. In other words, it's the small achievements that matter. Small achievements seriously matter. Habits aren't grand destinations that you reach in one day. They are small steps you take every day. And some of these important small steps or achievements you make can be called Keystone Habits. Now, here are some of my Keystone Habits. I wonder which ones you will consider adding to your life. And they are: wake up early enough to pray, to meditate, to plan the day. Read at least 20 minutes daily. Connect meaningfully with your family and friends daily, for example, by eating a meal together. Make positive affirmations about yourself every day. Listen to motivational and inspirational audio every day. Exercise at least 4 to 5 times a week for at least 20 minutes. These are some of my habits. Perhaps you could add some of these to your life also. You see, when you cut an orange, there might be only 5 or 6 seeds inside, which doesn't seem like much, but imagine how many more oranges each of these seeds could produce. Developing keystone habits might not seem like much, but the secret to your future and to your success can be found in these half dozen habits. Habits can really be hard to start, but eventually it does become easier. Did you know that the space shuttle uses more fuel in the first 60 seconds after liftoff than it uses in the entire orbit around the Earth? Why? It's because it needs to overcome the powerful forces of gravity and reach escape velocity. After that, momentum kicks in, and then it just goes unhindered. Starting a good habit is hard at first, but if you can do it for 66 days, which is the approximate time for a habit to become ingrained, then new pathways are etched in the brain. It is so hard in the beginning because it is about the destruction of old ways of being, old patterns of doing. Breaking out of that is painful at first, but later it becomes automatic if we stay the course and we don't give up. When the habit becomes automatic, after approximately 66 days, the habit becomes installed, ingrained, and systematized. Now, the willpower and self-discipline that we have used to develop that habit can now be redirected to another winning habit, because the former habit is now well ingrained and requires no self-discipline or effort. The well-developed willpower muscles can now be used to develop another great habit, and consequently, great habit after great habit is developed, and this is how greatness comes. And over time, it actually becomes easier to do those great things than not to do them. John Maxwell said, "You'll never change your life until you change something you do daily." The secret to your success is found in your daily habits. And that is all for today. Until next time, keep on growing in wisdom and maturity. Blow the cap off your capability. Be unstoppable. Be awesome. I'm cheering you on.